Hello, it's David from David Savary Electrical Services Limited, and you remember this one? We were here, oh, it was a while ago now, wasn't it, where we did an EICR and found that this RCD had been rather overloaded and had fried itself. Well, today's the day where we rip all this out and replace it with something a bit shinier and a bit newer. In fact, a bit like this thing, which is a CP fuse box board with surge protection. Crikey, this is a very small and spider-filled broom cupboard to be in, and it's a bloody hot day as well, which is a bit of a shame really. I'd rather be in a beer garden than in here, but well, here we are. In fact, I think I'll take the camera off the tripod and we can have a little look around. You may recall that there are a lot of circuits here. I think there's about 18 circuits we need to modify. We need to get this on the wall. That armoured cable needs to be sorted out. I'm not going to actually film doing the consumer unit change. There's plenty of consumer unit change videos out there. CJR, DSS, Artisan Electrics, all examples, along with many more of installers showing consumer unit changes. So I don't think I need to be repeating the efforts of people better than I am. But what we will have a look at, we've got the clamp here on the TIS MFT Pro. There we go, leakage current. And just have a look at what's leaking through there at the moment. And we've got about 20 odd milliamps at the moment, which is an improvement on what we had before. We have actually been here since, and we corrected several faults. There was an IR fault which we traced down to being on a socket outlet that we couldn't get to previously when we did the EICR. The socket wasn't accessible on the day of the EICR, but we came back later on after the room had been stripped out ready for redecoration, found this socket where the line had shorted against the back box. We also found connected to that a socket that was disappearing under the floor where the neutral was compromised, and that was also causing IR problems. And we also found that the return leg of that ring, which we couldn't access, it's buried within the fabric of the building, and that was bad going between the last socket in the chain and the board. So what we had to do in the end was to make some alterations to get that back into service. It's interesting with board changes. Excuse me, just getting the coffee in while I can. Because I see some people on social media who say who do a board change and then say, oh, thank goodness it's all come on without the RCD tripping or whatever. And I saw someone commenting on someone else's video saying that they never do IR testing because if it all comes on, then surely the IR is okay. And I think that's a bit mad, really. Personally, I also see people, for example, who've changed the board and then they're doing their ring end-to-end test and they say, oh, thank goodness that worked out all right. And I think, well, personally, I wouldn't do a board change unless I'd done a full EICR first. And the way we do it, I mean, we probably lose a lot of jobs doing it this way, but it's our way or the highway. What we say is we book in an EICR on one particular day and then we book the board change on another day. And I get that some customers might find that inconvenient because they might have to take 2 days off work or whatever, but I wouldn't do a board change unless I'd done a full EICR with IR testing first, because I want to know when I do my change it's all going to come on, it's all going to stay on, and I'm not going to get a phone call at 8 o'clock that night going, well, we turned the landing light on and now everything's tripping out or whatever. I need to know that there's no borrowed neutrals, that there's that the IR is good, and that if there are any problems with ring breaks, they're either investigated or I take that into consideration when I'm putting in the new board by, for example, downgrading the circuit from 32 amp to 20 amp, which is something we had to do here. We got some bad numbers on the ring on the upstairs bedroom circuit. It's not doing a lot up there. We have done some investigation without success, and we are downgrading it to 20 amps to accommodate that. So yeah, we undertake a separate EICR, get that as full and accurate as we can before attempting any kind of board change. And yes, it is inconvenient because it means 2 visits to a property, but it means that when we come to do the board change, we can be reasonably assured that there's unlikely to be any nuisance tripping, that we're armed with exactly the right type and rating of protective devices, and that hopefully everything is going to go relatively smoothly. One thing I mentioned in the previous video, there is a armoured cable that comes out of the house all the way down this fabulous garden, nice long garden, to the shed, but the polarity had been changed on the cable. It's grey for earth at the CU end, and it's grey for neutral at the shed end. And what Nigel has found and hiding in the bush here appears to be a big isolator for something, so we're thinking that this is probably where the reversal has happened, at a midpoint. What do you reckon, Nige?
I reckon so.
Bloody hell, I didn't realise how grey you'd gone.
I'm an old man. Well, I feel like it.
You don't like it. What we got in there? What horrors
I don't want to lose the
lurk within there?
I'm doing this. Come. Hold on. You need it in the off position. There we go. Right, there we go, look at that.
There we have it. That's our point partway down the circuit where the grey and the black functions have been reversed. Which, yeah, okay. Why would that be? How could you make a cock up like that, Nigel?
Not sure, I don't think even I could cock it up that way.
I don't know when you put that one in, mate, but we better put it right, I suppose.
Yep.
A couple of things to note since we first came. Well, that original video was recorded on a Friday. On the Tuesday we had Western Power out because we wanted to check that the head hadn't been overloaded. We know that the maximum demand of the installation has been pretty toasty for a while. They came out and they've okayed the service head. Let me get that clamp off. So they've okayed the head. They've stuck their sticker on it. They've had a bit of a tidy up on it with some tape there. And although the wire coming off it to the main earthing terminal certainly isn't 16mm, they're quite happy that it's adequate and that it's in good condition and doing the job. And who am I to question them? We've also, you may notice, we've got an isolator installed here now. We had haste out. They came out a week later and put that in for us, so now we can safely isolate the installation without having to cut any suppliers, fuses or anything like that. So I think we're probably about ready. It's going to be a right old royal pain in the arse today. What we've got here is a 20-way board. That's 20 ways excluding the main switch and the SPD. So this is a nice big board that should accommodate all these circuits and give us a bit of room for future expansion. CP Fuse Box are a new brand to market. I've fitted one of their boards before, fitted one last week, so this is the second one I'm putting in. So far so good, I like them. They've got plenty of knockouts, side, top and bottom. I know a lot of people go for the Hagers. We often put in Hagers as well, and there's stuff I like about the Hager, but finding a board that would take this many circuits in a domestic environment was fairly tricky in this sort of space as well. And if you start looking at the larger Hager boards, the cost is horrendous. And also they do, the boards I was looking at, they do the stacked boards, and they come with 100 amp RCDs in them. And you know, I want to put in an RCBO solution here. I don't want RCDs. It seems to me strange that they do a board that can take a lot of circuit ways, and then they put in the RCDs. And people said to me, well, you could just take the RCDs out. Yeah, but I'm paying for them, and I've got no use for them. I'd rather put in something that, you know, it gives me this nice big space, and I can just put in the protective devices I need and configure it how I want to configure it. And I couldn't find any other solution, so I thought, you know what, I've seen people on social media raving about the CP Fuse Box stuff, people who I respect on Twitter, who are saying that they're putting this stuff in and it's good. So what the hell, let's give it a try, shall we? And that's what we're going to put in today. So I'm going to put the camera down now because it's going to be a long day and it's hot in here. And like I say, I'm not going to show the actual work of changing this out. We'll have a look at it so when it's all finished and done, and hopefully we'll have something that's a bit more fit for purpose. Can't see I'm hugely a fan of the way these are packaged with a fixed cable tie around the neutral, because it means you got to cut it off, so you're putting your cutters very close to where the insulation of that is, and of course that's a little bit of plastic waste that's we're all trying to cut down on. I'm sure they can think of a better way to package these things. Whew, well, it's been a long and very hot day getting this in. Probably not my neatest job, but it's the end of the day and we've got to make sure the lights are back on. So let's have a quick chat about the old CP Fuse Box here, and what I like and what I don't. First of all, a point to make about the earth bar. Now this is a 20-way board and we've got 19 RCBOs here. The 20th has been blanked off with this blank here. and they give you 20 circuit ways and 3 earth ways. So that's your main earthing, your water bond, your gas bond, and then your 20 circuits. Unfortunately, what they also give you is one of those ways taken up by the earth for the SPD, and also on the back of the lid we've got an earth tag that we're supposed to put on. So you lose a couple of your earthways, so that's a bit mad, because obviously it's a 20 circuit board. Now I want 20 ways on my earth bar for the circuits, plus enough for the earthing, the bonding, and whatever else needs to connect to that. So if the SPD needs a way, and if the front of the board needs a way, then I expect there to be an extra 2 earthways, to be honest. So that's a bit peeving. That's a couple of these circuits have potentially got to share their connection. I don't like that. Other than that, I don't like also how the SPD connects to the main switch, because it shares a connection with the main switch and the buzz bar. So it's one of those where the buzz bar goes in, and so does a wire going off to the SPD. Not uncommon, you see that on a few other boards, but I do think there could be a better way of doing it, because it doesn't feel like the buzz bar's in quite how you'd like it. Besides that, these are all Type A RCBOs, and that's one of the reasons why it's taken us so long to get back here, is because it was only in June that the Type A's were released for the CP Fusebox board. And as I said, I did look for other manufacturers of larger boards, and although Hager already had their Type A's out, they didn't have a board that would have sufficed for this kind of space. So I held out for the CP Fusebox board, lowering cost for the whole assembly than it would have been to go Hager by a fair amount. And also it's a better sized board for this particular environment, but it's taken a while for the Type A's to come out, and as you can see, they're full height RCBOs. I believe that they're bringing out the compact ones very shortly. One of these is a Type AC, that one there. Because I placed the order for this over the internet, none of the local suppliers had it, so I ordered it over the internet, and one of the RCBOs they sent was the wrong type, so obviously I had to speak to them about getting a partial refund on that one. But because it all only arrived yesterday and I had to put it in today, I'm kind of stuck with that. So there's one there that's a Type AC, the rest are all Type A. And if you're not sure the difference between Type A and Type AC, then you need to be looking at the Group E5 channel, who definitely demonstrate why Type AC really isn't the thing to be fitting anymore. In fact, according to Group E5, I think they're being banned around Europe, so that's interesting. We've got the armoured cable now terminated properly. Before, the earth of that wasn't even terminated at all, and it was just sort of loose, rattling around in the box. That's now secure, fitted to a whisker box. We've got an earth gland, one of those locking nut glands inside, so it's all earthed as it should be. And we've had to extend quite a lot of the circuits to get them into the board, so that's why there's an array of new colours. This one here is for future expansion, and just to talk about the maximum demand again, because that's what the installation, one of the things installation failed on previously. There is still a lot of circuits here. The demand has been reduced. One of the electric showers is gone. We still have 2 electric showers here, although one is going to be decommissioned for use on the boiler very soon, so that's just there temporarily for now. Some of these circuits have been reduced in their capacity, so we've got some 20 amp circuits in here. A part of the reason for that, this one for example, there was ring break, and we just couldn't find it. We've been going around trying to look for it, couldn't find it, so what the hell, we brought it down to 20 amps and chopped off the leg of the ring. That's I've still got to do the labelling up on this thing, so let's get the cover on and get it labelled up. As I say, it's not necessarily the neatest of things. I find as well the RCBO tails for this board, obviously it's quite a long board. When you start getting over this end, it's very hard to get the tails around. I would prefer to have formed all the tails around into here, but these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 I've had to bring through here because they're just not long enough to form around, which is a bit of a shame. Other than that, there are things I like about the board. Loads of space to work in, knockouts top, bottom, sides, that's all good. Doesn't come with any grommet strip, so you need grommet strip to protect the incoming cables if you're fitting one. Doesn't come with a tails gland, so you'll need a tails gland if you're fitting one. But otherwise, it's not a bad board to be working with. I did one of these earth screws is also stripped, so it didn't take the torquing, which is a bit of a concern. Everything else seems to have been okay, but I can't undo this one now because it's I was trying to get it undone earlier and it seems to have chewed out, so that's a bit of a worry, but that's the only one that's happened to, so yeah, hopefully it's okay. But so I think there's more positive and negative. I think for the price point it's perfectly fine, a lot cheaper than Hager would have been, and like I say, I couldn't find any other manufacturer with a board of that sort of size reasonably priced for this sort of job. So I'm quite happy that, although, you know, you see some installations that are super neat, and yes, I'd love to have the time to do that, but bloody hell, it's been a long hot day, and I need to get out of here. We need the power back on, so this is as neat as it's getting. Is it dreadful? Not really. It's all right, I suppose. I always question. I think those ones when people put them on Twitter and they're super neat. I think, well, that's great. I don't know how long that's taken you, but I've never been able to do one like that. Not with charging. Without feeling like I'm perhaps overcharging for spending too much time on keeping my feng shui happy. And personally, if looking at this fucks your feng shui, well, to hell with you. You're not stuck in a pissing broom cupboard. But there you go. Let's have a look at the label sheet. Actually, I've got to find the label sheet for this board now and get these things labelled. I wonder how robust the label sheet is. Ah, here it is. Not the best label sheet, I have to say. We've got an RCD warning notice, no two colours notice. Hager are like that as well. I don't know if they've changed their sheets recently, but they also omit the two colours label, which, yeah, I don't like the two colours label, but you know, the regs say it's needed, and it's going to be needed on most retrofit installations. So I can print one off using my Brother label printer, but come on, it ought to be on here. I mean, what's this additional information circuit number label? That's fucking useless to me, isn't it? What am I supposed to do with that? It's for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 circuits. I can't use that. We've got all. Do we need all these main switch LCD protected labels? I don't think so. I mean, it comes with a main switch label already on there. Why would I need so much space taken up with those? I prefer smaller labels for circuit identification and more of them, covering more items. For example, there's nothing there for car charger. Not that we've got a car charger here, but more and more of them are going in. So come on, let's start to see them on there. And I think as well, either pick lettering or pick pictorial, preferably pictorial, because obviously it's universal then, and then just have more of them covering more things, so that it's more likely that you can have the labels you need. I'm just going to print out my own circuit ID labels. So there's, apart from the RCD notice, there's nothing on here I'm going to use. You've got the inspection testing label, but I've got my own of those. So it really is not very up to scratch, that. There we are, all labelled up. Using the, I must have put it away on the van already, I've lost it. The label printer been put away.
Oh yeah, I've put it on the van.
The E550W Brother label printer for a nice, neat, consistent and accurate set of labels to go on the front there. I've also printed off the 2 colour label I had to print off because it doesn't come with one. There's the RCD label it comes with, and we're using the trusty joist magnet to keep the lid open, because it's one where the lid won't stay open. There you go. I think that's us all finished, apart from the paperwork and apart from Nigel just fiddling with the understairs light here. Let's have a look at what he's doing. I think the old Wazik here is just putting in a PIR light. We normally we often install a non-maintained bulkhead in an area like this, don't we, Nigel?
Right.
So that in the event of a power cut, the light automatically comes on, and then we also put a switch on it, so if they want to switch the light on to use the cupboard, they can do so, and it runs off the battery. Obviously, if they leave it on for 3 hours or so, it eventually winds the battery down, but that's up to them, isn't it? But that's normally quite a nice solution for under the stairs here. Here we're just replacing the light that was there with an exterior PIR bulkhead, because they want it to come on when they open the cupboard door. It's not going to be the prettiest of things, but fucking hell, it's just a spider shag hole down here, isn't it, Nigel?
Certainly, yeah.
Doesn't really need to look terribly pretty. But yes, other than that, we're all done besides the paperwork. So what do you think of the CP fuse box, Nige?
I think it looks good. It's nice and neat. Plenty of room at the top. Slightly offset that screw, haven't they?
Yeah, the screws aren't captive, which is another minor annoyance. But again, the price point is so much below what it would have been if we'd have put in a Hager. These Type A RCBOs are a good sort of 4 or 5 quid cheaper per unit than the Hager equivalent. And on 18 circuits, that really adds up, as well as that the enclosure costs were much higher with things like Hager. I just couldn't find something that would have done the same job. I'd use it again, wouldn't you, Nigel? I think, you know.
I think they're nice enough.
There are a few flaws, but again, you can't really moan because it's so much of a cheaper price point.
Yeah.
The size of the earth bar is an annoyance. The non-captive screws, well, a lot of them are like that. Even with the Schneider, I find that although they come with captive nuts on the back, the damn things still drop off. They're always too short, the screws as well, that go into the front of the unit. You have to really sort of make sure it's on and lined up. It's never quite easy, is it?
No.
It wasn't too bad in this case, but there you go.
I do have a question.
Ooh.
What's a WASOK?
Fuck you asking that, I haven't even called you that.
You did. You called me a WASOK right at the beginning.
Oh, right, okay. I don't know, but it can't be good, can it? I'll have to Google that later now.
Right. So butchers.
Right. Obviously, you've done your testing on that. Oh, we did do it earlier, didn't we?
Did with the old light.
Yeah, fair enough.
Gives power. There we go.
Passes the bang test.
Need to set the timer on it. Can't see a damn thing as usual. I need
Do you want
to
a
torch
torch?
on that. I've got one somewhere.
Real man carries a torch.
Jesus,
anymore.
can't see a thing now.
It's a very bright torch.
Right. We don't want it on too long. There we go.
What's the noise? Not the gas meter.
No, it's the light making a noise.
The light's making a noise. So something's squeaking. It's got to be the gas meter.
Yes.
Yeah, it's coming from
That's in use. You got that. But it's from that.
nothing like that squeak.
Oh yeah.
You haven't been shoving hamsters up your arse again, have you, now?
I haven't done that for weeks. Might have to have a hamster party later.
Right, let's go and do our customer handover and get the hell out of here. I've had enough of seeing this cupboard for one day. Fucking sun's gone now, though.
Right, makes it better that it's the end of the day then, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't, because I want to go home and break out the beer and the bloody barbecue. Sunny all day that I'm stuck in that frigging brew.
No, it's still blue. It's just a few clouds. Look, we've got loads of blue.
Tell you what, one of us stinks. The smell of an honest day's work, that.
Yeah.
After 200 meters, keep left.
There we go. Escape from Stratford upon Avon. Let's go get a beer, Martian.
left.
Yep.